Okay, so I'll say this again. It's 11:15 on the 10th of November, and I need you, please, to decide by Sunday evening, our time, or before Monday morning anyway. Just send me an email, please, specifying if you want 12-month or 6-month placement. Okay, I know that some people, it can change, obviously, and absolutely acceptable. If you come with a 12-month visa and decide to go home after 6 months, there's no problem. And once you have left, you would be able to reclaim reimbursement of the unused insurance. But you would have to demonstrate that you have left the program. And I will give you a letter to say you are no longer part of the program because you have decided to leave. All right? So there's not much of a problem there. If you want a 12-month program, remember there is this kind of financial means testing. Well, it's not means testing. They want a document to say that you can support yourself for the whole time you're here. Okay, so if you come in for 6 months, that amount is about 3,600 euros. 3,600 euros. Okay, if you come in for 12 months, that would be 7,200 euros. So you'd have to, get your calculator out and see how much that is in your local currency. Okay, and we'll look about how you have to prove that to the embassy or to the consulate when you apply for the visa. Okay, it doesn't mean that you have to have that money with you in cash when you come. It doesn't mean you have to deposit it anywhere. It will normally be either a copy of your a certificate from the bank saying that this is true, that you do have this money in your savings account, or if not, it will be a notarized letter from your parents saying, we do have this amount of money in a particular account, with a certificate from their bank, and saying that they promise to support you, okay, whilst you're here. Reason they do this is, well, obviously, you're coming over on a youth mobility program as a volunteer, and they just don't want people kind of turning up without sufficient funds to look after themselves, who might then become a burden on the state. Okay, and so it's a very low risk that would ever happen, of course, if you're coming to Spain. But that's something they do need to know, okay? Because once you're here, you do have certain rights, that you could start bringing over family members, and then you could say, well, actually, we're being persecuted in our own country, and we want the protection of the Spanish state. And the Spanish state would have to look after you. Obviously, they don't want that sort of thing to happen, okay? So anyway, we'll talk about that in a minute. That is the main difference then between 6 months and 12 months, okay? That you would have to prove you have either 3,600 euros or 7,200 euros. And as I say, they might ask you, well, how would you get access to that? And you pull out your credit card or your debit card and say, bing. We know it's a lot easier these days with things like PayPal and getting money around the world. Okay, so that's it. 12 or 6 months. I will tell you one further thing, I think. We've had two cases of people who sign up for 12 months. They do the first 6 months. In fact, then they tell me, yeah, I want to come back. So they do like January to June, January to July, go off traveling halfway through July, say, yeah, I want to come back in September. Really looking forward to it. Really want to do it. Everything's in place. Come back in September and they go, I don't like it anymore. I've grown out of this. I want to go and do something else. And I know some people who are off traveling in Turkey, or I know some people who have offered me to come and stay with them in Greece. or, you know, I've got a family member in the UK or in Ireland who's invited me to come and do something with them. Look, if that happens, it's not a problem. Okay, it's not a problem. You've done your 6 months, you've done your first placement. You've given, you've contributed to the community, to the school, to the kids, to the family here. You decide at the beginning of summer, look, I'm going to call it a day and just travel for another 3 months. That's fine. Okay, that's something you have to sort out with your parents. You're developing your young people, and you will change whilst you're here. You're at a very important time of your life. So if you found, and I would say the expression I would use is that you've outgrown the program. That means you've had a lot of support here from the family. You've had a very structured time, but now you feel that you can look after yourself. Well, if you and your parents are happy to do that, you know, I'm not going to get in your way. Okay. So just kind of to be straightforward up front and say, look, you know, this is what I've decided to do. Now, if you tell me that after 2 months, I won't be happy. Okay. Because you are here to achieve something. You're not here to kind of come put your toe in the water and say, oh, I don't really like that. I can guarantee the first 2 months are the most difficult ones, because when you come to Spain, you will see that the calendar is marked by local, national, regional fiestas, events which are happening. Okay, which, as I said, they tend to start in January, very small local event, which is all around Spain, which is St. Anthony's Day, St. Anthony, the patron saint of the animals. Okay. Next month, you've got Carnival, which is a 4-day festival, many parts of Spain. Next month, March, you've got different festivals, stuff like in Valencia, the Fallas Festival, which you wouldn't want to miss if you're in the Valencia area. If you're in Tolosa, the Carnival in February is absolutely incredible. In fact, most of the Basque country. Then you've got Easter, we're absolutely spectacular in Spain. Something which you would never have seen before. And then you've got May and June, and people are going out and traveling, and there's a really, really good atmosphere. So I would say, commit to the 6 months, and even if you have a 12-month visa, if you decide at some point that, well, got to June, July, think I'm going to go and do something else, just let me know. Okay. You wouldn't be able to transfer to another program as part of New Ventures Worldwide necessarily. It could be, because each country program has its own fee structure. Okay, so in a way you'd have to go through the same process, but if you want to stay in Spain, I will help you. Okay, and if you want that second placement, or you're getting on so well you just want to come back and you want to spend the whole summer here with the family here and carry on at the school here, if that happens, if the family are happy to have you for those 2 months, then that's absolutely fine too. One of the things we did for Sam last year, in the summer, he went off to work as a volunteer in the UK. As Australians and New Zealanders, you have no visa restrictions, rock up in the UK. And in fact, the insurance policy that I'm going to offer you covers you for the UK as well. It's not just for Spain. So, if you wanted to work as a volunteer, he was getting a small weekly sum plus accommodation in London, which is really difficult to get, for a month. Had a great time, and then he went traveling all over the place, really. Okay, then he's one of the guys who came back in September, and he was sitting there one evening with the family, and he just thought to himself, look, I've been here before, I've done this, and he went off climbing for a couple of months somewhere. But anyway, that was up to him. Okay, so that's the one thing. Those are those are our placements, and again, that's your commitment, what we expect from you. Okay, so I want to show you a couple of things more. One of them is this, which is the visa requirements. Okay, I just want to go over this again. I've sent you this document, one form of getting it anyway. Okay, this is for Sydney. Okay, this is for Sydney. So this will be the same for all Australia. Right. So study visa, that's what you're going to be asking for. Where it says on the website, visas for stays exceeding 90 days for any of these things are required. Okay, and conversation class assistants. So we're going to ask for a study visa and a conversation class assistant because those are the placements you're all going to be doing. All right, I'll show you why in a moment. Right, so forget about family members, we don't want that. Okay, so activities for which a study visa may be obtained, conversation class assistants, okay, or student mobility programs, because you are also going to be at an officially recognized teaching center, right? So these are the documents you're going to have to get, and I want you to start getting them now, please. Okay, so national application visa form, all right, you have to get it from the Sydney or other consulate, or in the case of Wellington, sorry, is it Wellington or Auckland in New Zealand? Okay. Photograph. Okay, you can read what sort of photograph it is. Take a decent one, please. One for the visa. Don't kind of cut and crop, you know, the one of you celebrating at somebody's wedding. You look pretty good, but in the background, you know, they're doing a piñata or in the swimming pool. Okay, just make sure it's a decent photo on decent paper. So you could do it at home, but you know, make sure it's on decent photographic paper. All right, your passport, and this is very, very important. Okay, your passport must be valid for the entire duration of the stay. We normally say 1 year, all right, and really it's just you have to send the original and a photocopy of the page which includes your biometric data, you know, which is your face and all that kind of stuff. All right, remember, you will send in your passport and they will send it back to you with the visa. So in the case of Sarah, who's leaving on the 1st of December to go traveling, you know, she wouldn't get it back. You wouldn't get it back, Sarah. We spoke about this yesterday. Okay, so just make sure you're not planning on traveling, you know, in the next 6 weeks, 6 to 8 weeks. Right. Then proof of acceptance of the study, volunteer, internship. Okay, so you get acceptance at an authorized center, acceptance into a student mobility program, acceptance at the center of accommodation, and the commitment of the organizer of the program to bear the costs. That's what we will send you. You'll get 2 copies. Well, you get 1 letter from me and 1 letter from the school. Okay, and an agreement with the organization responsible for the volunteer program. Okay, we're moving towards nominating or designating you as the classroom assistants, just because it removes 1 requirement. And as a volunteer, you're not going to be in a risk situation of working with vulnerable adults in a residential situation. You're not going to be in the situation of, you know, possibly destroying a natural habitat, which would include or working in a dangerous situation with refugees, where the whole question about liability is far more important. Okay, important proof of financial means. All right, so the applicant or the family member supporting them has sufficient financial means to cover the expenses of the student's stay and return. The minimum is 100% of the IPREM, okay? That means about 600 euros, all right, per month. You do not have to have this money with you when you come. It must be in a bank account which you can access or which your parents can pay into. Which your parents are willing to provide information on. I would recommend, if you have a savings account in your name, which has that amount of money, that would be the best thing to do. Okay? Right? If it is your parents, then your parents have to provide a statement. So it wouldn't be enough to say, well, look, we just opened an account for you on the 10th of November. We just stuck this money in there for you, you know, so there you go. They would think that's a bit strange. So that's why they want a statement to show that there is regular deposits into that account, whether it's salary or interest or rent or whatever, however people earn their money. Okay, so before you send that to the embassy, you send me a copy of what you're going to send. Okay, right. Right, the documents must be legalized or apostillized, all right, which I will tell you exactly how to do that in Australia. They've never asked for this before, in New Zealand, okay? But we'll find out what the process is. A very good friend of mine just recently came to live in Spain from Australia, so he's gone through the whole process. Okay. I will find out how to do it, how long that takes. If they require documents to be translated into Spanish, it's a very good idea to make sure that the documents you're submitting are in a very summarized form. So you don't want, you don't want a medical certificate of 4 pages long. You want one, because if they're asking for a translation, then make sure you're only paying for 1 translated page and not 4. Okay, health insurance, which we will look at in a moment. This is not travel insurance. This is insurance. This is insurance which must cover you from, you got a chipped toenail and they have to clean it up for you. Or you need a brain scan because you've been discovered to be one of the most intelligent people in the history of mankind and they want to do experiments on you. Okay, it's got to cover everything. Now, normally travel insurance will say things like, we don't treat any pre-existing conditions. They would say there's no mental health cover. They would say you have to pay the first $75 of any treatment. They would say you can't actually go, you can't go to a doctor about any kind of chronic or similar condition which might be able to be treated in your own country. That's what travel insurance normally covers. Okay, so these insurance policies cover you the same as a Spanish person would be covered in their own country, where everything is free at the point of treatment. Okay, this is the way it works in Spain. Nobody pays anything for any treatment under the National Health Service in Spain. So you have to have equivalent. All right. The criminal record police check, which you've already seen. All right, what we have to see, do we need an official translation? Well, if you do, you'll all need one. So I'll make sure we've got, somebody who can translate that for you. The medical certificate, again, look at that medical certificate. So I'm going to send you this, all right? That they do not suffer from any disease. I know, I've seen your document. It looks absolutely fine. All the ones I've seen, because it does say you're fit to be a volunteer to participate in such a program. Proof of residence in the consular district. So if you're doing it in Sydney, if you're doing it in Melbourne, if you're doing it in Adelaide or in Perth, you would have to include some kind of document, driving license, student card, ID card, something with your address to prove that you actually live there. Okay, that's also because we also accept, or they also accept visa applications from some of the islands as well in Australia. Okay. Number 10 does not apply. Number 11 does not apply. Number 12 does not apply unless you are under 18. Okay. Number 13, the visa fee. And this is great. They don't tell us what the visa fee is. Isn't it ridiculous? So for updated visa fees, please forward an email with the following information, okay, to the Sydney or other consulate you're applying through. Okay, it should be about $70. Should be about $70. I will paste this link in the chat box anyway, so that you can see it. Make sure you copy this link. Make sure you copy this link, and also make sure that, well, this is Sydney, but there might be another one for Melbourne, there might be another one for Perth. Hobart, I think, is through Sydney. Obviously, you're going to have to look for yours. Amy in Wellington, I believe it's Wellington. But it's pretty straightforward. Okay, so the reason I'm doing this is because this is today's information, and any information I've sent you previously may be slightly changed. Okay, required documents for family members. No, you're not taking family members. Place of submission. Applications must be submitted by post to this office. No applications will be accepted over the counter. Whereas in New Zealand, I believe they will only take them over the counter. Okay. To include your documents, you must include an express post envelope. Okay. And an Australian money order, whatever that is, I guess it's something you get at a bank or a post office. No credit cards, no personal checks. Okay. So you probably need to speak to a really reliable provider like DHL, I don't know, UPS, I don't know who you use in Australia or New Zealand, and ask them, do they have a prepaid document service, which means that you would they would give you an extra document, sorry, an extra envelope, which you would address to yourself. You've already paid them for the amount, $20, $30, I don't know how much it costs. You put that into the envelope with your documents, with your visa application, and they will send that back to you in the same envelope. Okay? You can do it by post as well. That's absolutely fine. But the embassy or the consulate are not going to pay any postal fees for you. Okay? Right. You will also get a proof of receipt. So I'm sorry about this. When you send the application in, they'll send you by email a kind of code or a link to this website, you know, and this website looks like something, it looks really, really dodgy. Okay, it looks like it's been sort of concocted by some sort of banana republic. And you think, oh God, I don't want to put my details in there. And just so you know, it doesn't look very healthy, but it is absolutely bona fide. Okay, and that will tell you if it's being reviewed, if they need more information, and so on and so forth. Okay, the consular office may ask you to send in new documents. I think if there's any any doubts, a personal interview. It's not happened in New Zealand. They normally have a personal interview because they're quite polite and they don't get that many applications. And then you would have to collect the visa. Okay, that's a big deal. You have to go in and collect the visa. Okay. If there are refusals, the refusals are 90% because of the financial means. In fact, I don't know of a visa which has been rejected. I do not know of a visa application which has been rejected on any grounds other than the financial means. Okay? Having said that, there's always a first time. And what do they do in this case? Well, they will always give you time to rectify, to send more documents to support your application. Okay, now this is really important. If the study stay does not exceed 6 months, the visa will be valid for the entire stay, and it will not be registered, it will not be necessary to obtain a foreigner identity card. That saves you and me a bit of hassle. Okay, so if you're coming for 6 months, no problem. Because basically getting that card, the foreign identity card, means we have to go through the whole process again when you get here to Spain. But if you're sure that you want to stay for more than 6 months, we'll do it. It's not a problem either. You just bring copies of the same documents, all right, with you, and we can print them out here and do it that way. It's not difficult. But, you know, that's a really big thing. And it's not actually, there's any chance that they might say no. I think the only problem is bureaucracy in Spain can be a bit of a puzzle. All right. And so it's just taken us a long time getting appointments to do some of those documents. However, if you came for 6 months and said, wow, I'm having a good time, I really want to stay, all right, you can do like Kudzi did. Kudzi came 18 months ago and he's going to spend another 6 months and maybe go to university here. All right, and we put him through the process to renew, to extend his stay. There was no problem. Okay, and we can do that for you if that happens. So if you come for 6 months and decide you want to continue, we can do that. If you come for 12 months and decide you want to stay less, you want to go home, we can do that too. Okay, right. If the study stay is longer than 6 months, then your visa is valid for a 90-day stay. Okay. And in the first month, we have to go off with you to the police station with some more documents, and they will give you a card. And that card is then valid until, you know, the end of, 1 year later. Okay. So don't worry at all. Okay, we'll get you through this. Now, as regards insurance, some of you asked me. Now, I asked somebody else who knows kind of very, very well what we should be doing. And this Spanish company has given me what I think is a decent offer. Okay, it's a decent offer. So what we've got here is insurance which covers everything in Spain with private doctors, private health centers, private hospitals. Okay. And basically this is accepted by the consulates. It's with a company called Sigma, which is a worldwide insurance organization. Okay, so for 6 months the coverage would be 230 euros. Okay, 230 euros and 82 cents. Right, I spoke to this company this morning. They will give you copies in Spanish, they will give you copies in English that you can understand them. You are fully covered, including mental health care, up to 10 visits whilst you're here, which I've never seen before, but it's pretty good. And there's no, mental health is something which we all have or don't have and might need treatment for at any point. Okay, so 230 euros. I have not seen cheaper. I've seen them for 70 a month. And I was worried about that, saying, well, having to pay up insurance of like 7 by 6, 420 euros, I wasn't very comfortable. Okay, so this would be 230 for 6 months, 460 for 12 months. Okay, this is in Spanish. Okay, and it does say, medical emergency, no limits, whether that's hospital, medical, or home treatment. Okay, everything is included. Okay. Down here it means no deductible. It means you do not have to pay anything. Okay, you do not have to pay anything except for your medicines, right? And you also get so routine treatment for different conditions. Now let me just show you this. This is the actual policy. Okay, so it's Sigma. All right, now this is in Spanish, but basically I've asked for an English version, which I will send to you. It's used by some of the major leading institutions for their international students. Okay, and it basically says all the things which are included, which is everything. Okay. Right. Okay. Of course, there, transplants, even if you need a transplant, they'll give you one. There are, as we understand, certain conditions, if you found out that you had some sort of degenerative disease or something which maybe required a non-urgent intervention, but would then require maybe 3 or 4 months, convalescence. Well, I'm telling you, you'd probably want to go home and do it. All right. But anything normal, like a broken arm or, a kind of bleeding or stuff like that, would be included, can be done here, and you'd be absolutely fine. Okay. And it also says here that, you are okay, you're also insured if you went abroad from Spain, you're also insured. Okay. And these are actually some of the, the best private hospitals in Spain, right? Absolutely the best there are. So, if you did have to go to hospital, you could go to one. Anyway, so you would get that, and you would get your, insurance policy and so on. That can be done in 1 or 2 days. All right. Right. So you've got that. So those are the most important things, right? The visa information, your placement information, and the information about the insurance. That's why I wanted to talk to you today. All right. We'll update this in the coming days as I send you the information about your placements. Okay. In the case of you two guys, Oliver and Oliver, who are going to this place in Moncada, all right, the kind of quite religious school that I mentioned, right? They have sent me a 25-page document for you to sign. Okay, so I'd like you two to get together, and I've just translated it, and to go through it with you before you sign it. Okay, so I do want you to have a look and just know what you're getting yourself in for. It's basically common sense. It's basically what we've got on our own code of conduct, but we are saying, you won't share your personal details with the students. You will not engage with them on social media. But this, for everything we say, it's kind of one line. You shouldn't engage with them on social media. Is like a 2-page description of all the sort of social media you shouldn't be engaging with them for. Okay. The kind of dress code, the fact that you would never be in a private room with a student with a closed door. This is absolutely standard policy. Okay, so you let me know, with the exception of Monday and Wednesday, when we can talk, when you guys are free. Okay, we'll have a talk. Maybe Tuesday morning would be good. Okay, and I'll show you the document. I'll send you the document in English so you can have a look as well, but you're going to sign the Spanish version, so you have to trust me. Okay, any questions?
Just a question with submitting the visa applications. If we're in Victoria, do we mail those to the Melbourne consulate instead of the one in Sydney?
Absolutely. You have to have a look at the first thing on your offer letter. It will say it will be addressed to the consulate, and so that will show you where you have to send it to. But second, I would check up on the consulate web page in Spain just to make sure, sorry, in Australia, just to make sure that you're sending it to the right one. If you've got any doubts, let me know. Okay, I'll dig
Yep.
out.
So if possible, send it to the closest one.
Must be the closest one because each state has got its kind of is assigned to one particular consulate.
Thanks.
Okay. And you know,
I do.
yeah, go on. Hello.
My question was about plane tickets. I've noticed I haven't brought my plane ticket if that's a problem, but I'm about to. Also, if anyone's planning of leaving Melbourne, I wouldn't mind leaving altogether, so we're not traveling by ourselves, if that would be nice. And the other one was, do we have to be in Madrid on the 12th, or could we leave, get our plane tickets, and leave Australia on the 12th? Because it's a different price for leaving on the 11th and leaving on the 12th. It's a quite big difference. I don't know why.
Well, okay. I mean, I don't mind. It means you will, you'll get here on the 13th. We'll be waiting for you. So just let us know. We're not really going to do anything on the 12th apart from rest. I think, you're going to be knackered and then go out for an ice cream or something or a pizza in the evening. We're doing our orientation now. I want you, you'll be fine. You'll be fine. Okay.
Yep, all good. Thank you.
Okay. And so you guys talk together, you correspond together about how, when, and who you're coming with, okay?
I'm flying from Launceston into Melbourne and leaving internationally from there if anyone's leaving from the Melbourne airport.
I think there's a few of us that are doing that. Well, not the Launceston part, but from Melbourne.
Okay.
I'm still trying to. Oh, sorry.
Okay,
I'm still trying.